Let's move to our KSAT Q A on this Wednesday, and there have been calls from Uvalde City Council, from the school district, from county commissioners for a special session to deal with gun laws, specifically the age that a person can buy an assault rifle, raising it from 18 to 21. Our guest today, Scott Braddock with the Quorum Report. He has his finger on the pulse of what's happening in Austin and across the state politically. Are we going to see a special session?
No. The governor was on television in Houston about an hour ago saying that he was not going to call a special session. He said there's no agreement on any sort of policies right now in regards to guns or anything else. And I think if you look at what's happening with the timeline of all of this, because like you said, there are all these folks who, not just in Uvalde, but across Texas, want to see action from lawmakers, from the governor, but the next time on his timeline that there could be policy changes would be in the regular session of the legislature. That would be next January. The session would be over by May, and of course that would mean that no new laws would be enacted in Texas regarding school safety or gun safety or mental health or any of these things until after the next school year is over with.
Are they having any effect, though? I mean, obviously it's not on the governor, but are you seeing state legislators that are maybe a little more willing to talk about changing some of these gun laws, if not in a special session?
No, they are still captive to the Republican primary voters in the state who don't want to see anything on gun legislation happen. You saw what happened with Senator John Cornyn when he moved a modest bill in Washington that I know we talked about here on KSAT, where you had Republicans very angry with him for doing what they considered to be some sort of a traitorous act almost when it comes to the Second Amendment. But Democrats weren't happy with it either, largely because they felt like it didn't do enough. So compromise, a terrible bad word in America and in Texas right now.
And of course, that legislation that was ultimately signed by the president, it provides hundreds of millions of dollars to states across the country to address things like a potential red flag law, implement a way to manage that, provides funding for mental health. So even outside of potentially raising the age limit on when somebody can buy a gun like an AR-15, there is, to be clear, no movement on any legislation involving guns.
And when it comes to gun legislation, the things people are asking for, it's been described to me by some Republicans and Democrats alike as just the bare minimum. Raising the age, red flag laws, which you mentioned, and a few other things. Nothing like a mandatory buyback program of assault weapons or anything like that, which of course the Democratic nominee for governor, Beto O'Rourke, got in some hot water over supporting that previously. Although, if you look at the sort of shifting messages in the governor's race, earlier in the year, you saw Governor Abbott's campaign really just hammering Beto O'Rourke for having said, quote, hell yes, we'll take your AR-15. But after the Uvalde shooting, you don't see Abbott's team bringing that up.
Is that an impact that we're seeing from this and from all these different communities that are saying we need to raise the age? Are we seeing the tightening of the governor's race and polls? We are. Is that an effect from Uvalde and maybe the abortion ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court?
On different issues that are at play in the election, it's such a dynamic situation. You have abortion, guns, you have the electricity grid, concerns about that in Texas, of course. People are worried about a whole host of things, but people are also, of course, worried about the economy, number one, and that accrues to the benefit of Republicans because you have a Democrat in the White House, and people naturally just blame the party in power in Washington, not in their state government when it comes to the economy.